Hello friends and welcome back. I'm Enterprise Architecture and we are back here playing more modded Vintagestory. Now, I have to admit today's episode got a little away from me. I'm actually coming to you from the future, but I really wanted to start work on our beehive kiln and I forgot that we needed a pulverizer to do it. So unfortunately, this is going to be a little bit of a higgledy-piggledy episode where we're going to be spreading out the actual things that we need to do over a few episodes. But now I'm going to go back to the point where I started, where I was starting to mine up bauxite, which I had to cheat to be able to find. I flew around the map for a couple of hours until I actually found some. It's really hard to find on this map, but that's the only cheating involved. With no further ado, let's dive right in. Alright, so this is where I ended up finding that bauxite. Now, I always try to be honest with you all anytime that I have cheated in this game. In this case, because of how far I ended up having to go to find this, after I made this first initial big loop here in this section where you can see all of these pickaxes, I just went straight into creative mode and started flying around. I just want to be upfront about that fact because otherwise it would have taken me hours and hours and hours more than the hours I'd already spent, and honestly I just had gotten frustrated. So at long last I found this hilly range here, and in this hilly range there is plenty of bauxite at the top. Again, this is a sedimentary layer, so we do have granite here, and just above the granite was this bauxite, and all of these mountains nearby all have this feature, so including these floating ones. I don't know why they're floating. So that's what's going on there. You'll also note I've installed a few new mods in the pack. So the mods list below is now updated. Among this is these juicy ores mod, which makes the ores more distinctive and also puts particles on the outside. As you can see in my last video where I was doing all of the mining, it can be really hard to see ores, especially when you're down in caves and when they're a material that's especially hard to see against the native rock. So in this case, we've added this, and now we should be able to see ores a lot better moving ahead. Awesome little mod. So first things first today, I am going to pillar up to this bauxite and start hammering it down, or pickaxing it down, I should say, because this is what we are after. We are after bauxite. Now, for those of you who haven't played that much of Vintagestory, bauxite is one of the first ingredients we need for refractory stones. So if we take a bauxite rock, we can make stone out of that. That pulverizes into crushed bauxite, and we use this to make refractory bricks. Refractory bricks come in 3 different tiers here. So tier 1, we make by firing this unfired one with bauxite and quartz, and that makes tier 1 easy enough for us. The tier 2 actually requires a different recipe. This also requires olivine. And then the tier 3, if we go back here, requires all of those ingredients and also ilmenite, which we can easily get as well from nuggets of ilmenite, which means we pulverize titanium. Now, we do need to pulverize things to get it, and we have found titanium already on the map. I just want to be clear about that. We've seen a lot of titanium. So far, bauxite was actually the hardest one to find. What we want to make is a beehive kiln. This is a fascinating thing that allows us to make a variety of different ingredients in here, including colored ceramics, which is what I'm really after here in the longer term. These we build out of a structure of refractory bricks and also iron hatch doors, which is what we're going to hammer our iron into that we found in the previous episode. So that's how we're going to get to that. So we need to make refractory bricks into this structure, this 3x3x3 internal structure here. That's going to how we'll make that. And then beneath that, that's where we're going to make our fuel. That's where you put wood, coal, whatever we happen to need for that. And so smelting all of that up, we are going to be able to make these interesting ceramics. So for instance, the ceramic shingles that we actually have around our house, ceramic, is it just shingle? Shingle. Okay, so the ceramic shingles that we actually have on our house is these cream shingles. And we can make those by firing a blue clay shingle in a kiln. And this is where the beehive kiln comes into play. If we have no doors open, meaning we close all of the iron hatch doors, it will turn into ceramic shingles. If you have multiple doors on there and you have 1 open, then you get gray, 2 open, you get black, 3, you also get black. But we're gonna close it all up and we are gonna use our blue-gray clay, wherever we can find some of that, and have an iron hatch door, and this will give us our lovely fired cream ceramic shingles, and that way we can finish all of the roofing on our build. So the kiln has a chance of breaking every single time you use it, and that's where the refractory brick tiers come into play. The tier 1 break pretty often, the tier 2 sort of often, and the tier 3 not as often. So that's why we care about the 3 different tiers, and that's what we're doing here That's why we need this bauxite, is so that we can make our initial refractory bricks. So we are just going to mine up bauxite for a good long while here and possibly get hit by a whole bunch of falling gravel in the process. All right, we have a full chest of bauxite, and that's pretty good. I am going to mark this on the map in this lovely coral shade, just so we don't forget that it is here. And now we are going to head our way back home. Now, ordinarily, I would hike all the way back home, but in this particular instance, because we flew all the way here, I am going to cheat a little bit more, and we are going to just teleport back home because this is going to just take way too long otherwise, and we don't have that kind of time. All right, there we go. We have teleported back home. Always put it into creative mode before teleporting is my tip, because then you can teleport into the sky, and that makes it a lot easier. You're less likely to suffocate if you do that. So teleporting to like level 300 or 250 or something, you won't die as easily. All right. Look at all this lovely, lovely bauxite. What can we do with that? We can come over here, throw it inside of our corn, just like this. We can start turning this thing and, oh, we cannot grind it. Okay, well, I thought that this would let me grind in here, but apparently it does not. That is a shame. Let's see here. This can only be pulverized. Well, if we can't do anything with the bauxite to the level that I wanted, meaning we can't actually pulverize it, I think maybe we start getting into power today instead. So we're going to change our plans up a little bit and build ourselves a pulverizer. That's going to be easy enough. I think we just need a single iron plate for this. Yeah, because the toggle is going to need a plate. And actually it looks like maybe any plate will do. Let's see here. Iron, steel, tin bronze will do. Okay, great. Well, we can make a tin bronze plate in no time. Let's get started on that piece of the puzzle as our primary goal right now. And then we will start working our way up the rest of the chain here. So we do need 2 tin bronze ingots, which we can easily make. We've got tin bronze bits here, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do it instead with our nuggets. We're going to make up some extra plates while we're at it, because inevitably we're going to use more of our tin bronze for something. Let's see here. Cassiterite, that's what we will do. Wonderful. Perfect. Okay, so there is our tin bronze recipe ready to go. All we have to do is grab some peat to get this up to temperature. Let's put that in there. We will grab up our torch real fast. Oh, and we have one on the wall. I keep forgetting that I left this here because I was getting frustrated that we never had one when I needed it. All right, that is lit. This is going to get up to temperature. We're going to make these tin bronze plates real fast, and we'll be back in a second. Now, while we were mining, we got a couple of rough lapis lazuli and a small rough ruby. And you can see here, this is from the can jewelry mod. We're going to come back to this later, but the thing to know about this mod is basically it lets you polish your gems and turn them into jewels that can then be added to your various pickaxes, your tools, all of that sort of stuff to give them bonuses. We came up with a lot of gems when sifting our bony soil, and I got frustrated that we didn't have anything we could do with it. So that's why I installed that mod. That's going to give us a jewelry making capability. Again, we'll come back to that at a later date. All right, while this is heating up, I found something out that I didn't realize. These aged crates that I'd been hoarding, I didn't realize you could actually just make a regular old crate anytime you want. So it looks like we can just literally take boards and put a saw in the middle, and that will make another crate for us. I had always assumed that you could only find those crates, but this is very good news. We have a lot of maple boards here. So let's put those down like that. We're going to put a saw in the middle. There is a maple crate. And I think that these hold more than the aged ones, but hardwood actually gives you the most storage space, apparently, is what I think I was reading. So I can take this crate and put it down here. I can take my bauxite and start filling this up with bauxite, and then we will have a lovely storage location for our bauxite. All right, so now we have our crucible. Let's go ahead and pour these out real quick. That's going to give us 1 plate. This is going to give us 2 plates. Excellent. Crucible goes back down here. Now we can get started on the rest of the pieces of our pounders and whatnot. Now, the pounders alone are not going to get us where we need to go because we are missing one other very important ingredient. That is power. We need a source of power for this thing. All right, so we have 1 lump of fat that we salvaged off of an animal that had been killed in like the first day we were playing. So very, very, very early on. let's go ahead and look at what we need to make our pounders. That is 3 logs, a hammer, and a chisel. No problem. We have hammers, we have chisels, and we indeed have lots and lots of logs. Let's do this. We are going to need 2 of these. So hammer goes here, put these in a row, 1 and 2. There is our pounder. Great. Now we have to actually make the pulverizer frame. Pulverizer. All right, so we need 1 piece of andesite rock. We are going to need our saw, and we are going to need all of those boards. I think that is exactly enough boards. That is very, very lucky for us. All right, so now we have the pulverizer frame and the pounders. The only thing we're missing now, I believe, is the caps and the toggle. Pulverizer toggle. Right, so this is going to use 1 of the plates there. Oh, but we do need to make the caps. I almost forgot about that. So we can do these in a variety of different metals. Iron might be the smartest one for us, but we'd have to use a bloomery, and I don't really feel like dealing with all that. So instead, we're going to do tin bronze because that's going to be easy for us. Now, the smart thing to have done would have been to have heated all of this up at once, but we did not do the smart thing. So unfortunately, we are going to try and rush this and see if we can get this hot enough to make our ingots, and then also get our ingots into the forge in a timely fashion. I suspect we will not be able to, and we need to go take a bunch of firewood and make more charcoal. So maybe that'll be my next little quest here. So why don't we go ahead and grab up a couple of stacks of firewood real quick here, and we will go ahead and throw these into our charcoal pit, and then hopefully we will have enough charcoal to finish our smelting process here. I just don't think we're gonna have enough to get it done unless we do it this way. So let's go over this way and see if we can't get it done. Okay, firewood, we add some logs on top, we light this up. There we go, that's lit. Put this on top, smoke particles should appear. Yeah, they are. Okay, great. So now we'll have charcoal eventually. All right, while that's going, our tin bronze has hardened into 2 plates, so we've got those. Oh, you know what? We've got black coal. I don't usually like to waste coal like this, but since we have found another location with coal, we could go ahead and use this to get everything heated up in the forge. That would get us nice and toasty. So let's see if we've got enough charcoal just to get these ingots done, and then we will see whether or not we have to resort to using our only remaining coal. I think brown coal could also be an option. Actually, that goes up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Yeah, the brown coal might do. 1742 is all we need for tin bronze, so maybe the brown coal is the way that we go about this. That might be the smartest thing to do here. Actually, I think we're going to be okay here. I had forgotten that now the mechanic has been changed, that even once the fire goes out, this will hold its temperature for a very long time and finish the smelting process. So those 2 pieces of charcoal, I basically coasted from halfway all the way to done here with no trouble. Did you just hear a... Who's opening my doors? I'm gonna have to figure out who's opening my doors. That's real creepy. Okay, we are making ingots. We are not making plates. Let's get this done real fast here. All right, so while that is going, we need to go ahead and make ourselves up a windmill rotor. So I think this is gonna be easy enough for us. All we need is some resin. That's the only thing I think that we are currently missing. I was also looking to see what other things we can get, like flax oil. How do we get flax oil? I'm not sure. I assume we need a squeezer for that. Flax oil. There we go. Yeah, so do we get this by juicing? Juicing. Oh, so we can make a fruit press, and for that we just need any rod. So I could use my 1 piece of fat that we've got if I go and get some resin, and if I make up 1 iron bar to be able to make up this press. But for that we are going to need 2 more ingots, and that's more than what we have on hand right now. We'd have to make up 1 more ingot, and I'm just not doing this in the most efficient way possible. All right, so I only have 1 piece of animal fat, and to do a lot of these things, I'm gonna need more animal fat. But in some cases, we can use things like flax oil or other seed oils as a replacement for animal fat for a lot of these recipes. To do that, we are going to need to do juicing, and that means we are going to need a juicer, or technically I think it's called the fruit press. So for this, we need 1 piece of fat, and we're going to need 2 pieces of resin. We need 1 more piece of resin while we're out, and I'm also going to need to make up a rod, probably a tin bronze rod. So we are going to go hunting really quick and see if we can't get some resin from one of the pine trees nearby here. I suspect we probably have a bunch. I also really wish that you could use wax as a replacement for the fat, but unfortunately it doesn't look like this lets us. Okay, that tree doesn't have any, but I guarantee you that there's resin somewhere in this field. If not, if you remember 2 episodes ago, we found a lot of resin, just a boatload in that one forest. Now, I didn't bring any home with me on that trip because at the time we just did not have any room in our inventory. So let's see here. Any of these? No. Let's keep looking. I'm sure we'll find some. Okay, basically right out our back door, there is our first piece of resin. I think on this journey, I would love to come back with 3 to 5 pieces if I possibly can. Let's go ahead and grab this. We need to be just a little higher. There we go. Okay, great. And there's more resin. Great. Yeah, this is really easy to come by now. 3, 4, and 5 right over here. Great. That was easy for us. No trouble at all. And again, we barely had to leave our neighborhood. Okay, we've got some more tin bronze going. I'm going to take the 4 ingots that we've already made, put them in here. I'm going to put in 2 pieces of coal and only 2 pieces of coal. Let's grab our torch. Let's light this up. And hopefully this will be warm enough that we will be able to make all of the things that we need. In this case, that is going to have to be both a rod and 2 pounder caps. Now, I don't think we're going to get the second pounder cap done because I don't think we're going to have a way of getting these ingots heated back up in the time that we have. So we're just going to do as much as we can here, which I assume is 1 rod, 1 pounder cap. Now, the workable temperature here, you can see it's green, is 887. I'm going to let this get over 1,000 and grab up 2 of these. Put 1 here. We are going to tell it that this is going to be a bar, not a rolling pin, tin bronze rod. Oh, and this only needs 1 apparently. So let's grab up our hammer here, and we want to select tool mode of autocomplete because otherwise I am going to screw this up. And we're just going to let this do its thing. If we only need 1 ingot for this, then we are looking really good. That could be better than I thought. Perfect. Okay, it did only need 1. Wonderful. Let's just throw this in here for now. Just remember that we put it there. Let's grab a second one. We're going to come over here, and this we are going to turn into a pounder cap. Let's see here. What do those look like? Chute section, metal pot with lid, pounder cap. Okay, there we go. So let's change this to the hammer, change our tool to autocomplete. And let's see if this doesn't work for us. If this only takes 1 ingot, we're going to be looking real pretty. I thought each of these took 2, but if I'm wrong on this, then maybe this can be done right now with no other trouble. Oh, it did only take 1. Okay, friends, well, apparently my ignorance is our benefit this time around. That means we can make both of our pounder caps. To make the other one real fast here. Again, grabbing up our hammer. Tool mode is autocomplete. Perfect. Okay, there's our second pounder cap. Grab up this last ingot here and let's just see what options we have available to us. Yeah, I think of the options that we have here, we could go and make another rod, but I don't have an immediate need for a rod. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and make shears because I think we're going to have some options for things that we can do with shears in the future. And I think this is the way to go. So let's go ahead, select our hammer, and let's get these shears done real quick. Perfect. And now we have the shears as well. So now we're ready to make up our fruit press here. We just need to remember the recipe. We need some boards. We need our bar. There we go. We need the 1 piece of animal fat that we have. We need a hammer, a chisel, and I think some resin. Is that the last bit? Yeah, that's the last bit. And there is our fruit press. Wonderful. So let's take this over to our kitchen and put it down. If I can get around this bucket. We're going to put it like right here. I think this is a good place for it. And now what can we do with this? So like I was saying before, there's a variety of different recipes that we can make with it, but we're mainly concerned about taking our flax and making flax oil with it. That flax oil will serve as a replacement for animal fat in most recipes. We will just need to go ahead and put this into a bucket once we have actually juiced our flax. But right now, I know that we do not have enough flax to be able to actually make how much that we need for the rotor, unfortunately. Our flax just needs like 1 or 2 more days and then it'll be ready to harvest, and then we can finish making this rotor. But that does remind me, we do have a couple of more chores that I want to do at the end of the episode here real quick, and that is we should pick our vegetables that are ready to be harvested. I believe we have a decent crop of onions now that we can gather up, so let's gather those. If I can remember how to gather, right, we have to just poke them. And I think our carrots might also be done if we're lucky. We'd already gotten our turnips earlier, so we've got a pretty nice harvest going here. Let's see here, parsnips. What else is done here? Parsnips need a little bit more time. Yeah, carrots are looking good. Let's go ahead and gather all of those up while we're here. All right, let's take our brand new produce and put it down into our cellar. So we have this lovely cellar we built a couple episodes ago where we can store all of our root vegetables for a very long time. Yes, lovely. That'll work out well for us. And I think that will about do it. Well, friends, sometimes episodes do not go exactly as you plan, and particularly if you haven't played a game in a while and you forget how things are made, that can cause some problems for us. But I still think we made a lot of progress today, and moreover, we have a couple of quests ahead of us that are very clear-cut. We need to finish getting our mechanical power up and online, meaning we have to have a windmill, and then we can get our pulverizer all set up, and we will be ready to then move on to the mechanical age, and that's an exciting time. But for now, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!